good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time is at your place. Because, listening to Startup Rant, well, you can listening whenever you want. You can assemble the time, the place, well, device on which you want to listen to. Now imagine this. A few years ago, one guy in the high school, decided to do some kind of a product that's actually a game console. It revolved and built itself into the mobile phone, and in the end even into some kind of a huge stuff, huge matter of speaking, that you can build at your home with just a little bit of soldering skills, or now even without those. If you would heard this kind of a story about a high school guy and something like that, you would think, oh yeah, classic startup-entrepreneur story from the USA, some garage in the California, Texas, or I don't know where. But this story comes from Croatia. The name is Albert, and it's not the MC square something kind of a guy. He's actually not so much in the I actually didn't ask him what he thinks about Albert Einstein, but I did ask him what he thinks about the future of the humankind, and what little guys, little girls in the STEM revolution and evolution can do, and what he did with his Kickstarter campaign, and what you can do to support him, and what you can actually read about him, listen about him, and watch about him. It's not just he, because he is younger than me and he has people working for him. He has a bigger company than I have right now, and he's making a difference. Well, that's my opinion. He's making a difference right now, producing and teaching so many other kids, grown-ups, even myself, how to build something, how to create something in this interesting combination of hardware and software. Yeah, if you're watching this, sun is shining, not just on me, but I believe on the human race, because as long there are people who are willing to put their time, money, and will to teach others how we can be a better people, we are on the good track. Listen on the Startup Rant next episode, which is right now. Subscribe, follow, do whatever you want, but do not forget to get acquainted, to get a knowledge about cool people around the world who are trying to make this world a better place. Thank you. Hello. We are recording, and right now we are on the Startup Rant in my official background, which is, as everybody noticed here and there, that's actually virtual. But what's not virtual and what's cool and actually tangible is a mess. And you can see a mess behind my guest, Albert. CircuitMess. Hi.
Yeah, it's me, Albert from CircuitMess. Hi.
The name, come on, man. We have to start with that. Like, you have circuit, you have board. It's like a pen and paper. You can't have mess on that on a circuit board. You need to have a like, kind of what's up, what's there, what's here.
Yeah. So.
But CircuitMess.
So our company's name, it comes from two words. It comes from the word circuit, because of electronic circuits. That's what we do, and because we are in a mess. So we are a connection of circuit boards and the mess. So behind me is actually a quite, polished version of CircuitMess. It's CircuitMess in 2021, but you should have seen us in 2017. It was much, much worse. So the word CircuitMess would probably mean a lot more to you back then. I can send you some photos if you want, so you can show it on the
Oh
podcast
yeah,
if you want.
we need to see the mess, man.
Yeah, sure. So thank you for inviting me. What are we going to talk about?
Well, I'm gonna talk about all kind of stuff, and right now it's interesting to talk about a young guy like yourself. Well, actually, we're gonna talk about you, man. Um, what drives you to do this? You know, it's kind of when you look at the world right now, and in this kind of like 3 years back or something that I know you, or at least about you. I don't know when we actually met in person, but like there's company doing software, that company doing all kind of crazy stuff, like Twitter, Facebook was already here, and everything goes mainly to that. And you actually take something that's like, I like your proposition that was like, make your own phone. And I was like, what? Soldering? Putting some bits and bytes? What? How did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
end up in that?
Yeah, so what we do, it's quite, unusual. I agree with that, because in the world where everybody's talking about software, we are trying to make some kind of a unique hardware device, which is quite unconventional. Like, we have started with our first product in 2017, which was a do-it-yourself game console, which people had to build themselves. So basically, when I was starting with everything, I was so unsure whether this idea is going to be tangible and whether it's going to be recognized on the market, that I didn't even have a company. What I did is I launched my Kickstarter campaign first for the product, and I was just thinking, like, okay, let's make a Kickstarter and let's see what happens now. And maybe if this is going to be successful, I'm going to start a business, and if not, then I'm just going to move on with my life. And I was still in high school when I was doing this, and the finishing grade of high school. So I was, naturally thinking about going to college and, just living a normal life. And what happened is that we have raised over $100,000 on Kickstarter, which was a huge amount of money for me back then, because I was 18 years old, and I was really proud about it. But the important thing about the whole story was that we were getting orders from people from the United States, from Germany, from Canada, from Japan, from Singapore, from all over the world, that were complete strangers that decided to, support our project. And that was basically some kind of a market validation for me, where I figured out, okay, so maybe this makes sense. Maybe I could actually make a business selling do-it-yourself game consoles, and maybe I could do something else as well. So to answer your question, what drives me? It's really it's a tough question, but if I would to simplify it, I would say that I really like what I'm doing, because the whole process of designing what we do, it really, it really thrills me, because it's so creative. We have started with a do-it-yourself game console. Then we have decided to design an educational mobile phone. Then we are working on this subscription, which is called CircuitMess Sandbox, which is basically some kind of a Netflix-like subscription, where you get a new electronic device every 3 months. So every single of our products and services, they're just so unique and so fun to create, that I really, I'm really enjoying the process. And the other part why I'm doing this and what drives me is probably because I'm crazy, because I'm trying to do impossible things. And quite a lot of people didn't really believe that I could succeed with that. A lot of my friends and colleagues and family members weren't really, supportive from the beginning. And I think I decided to actually go and start doing this because I wanted to show them like, no, you're wrong. I really I can do something. So yeah, this grudge is probably what drives me as well. Yeah.
Man, I just love this because when you look at it, like when you take everything that you right now said, it you can boil down to like, my family didn't approve it, friends didn't approve it. I like didn't go to the college. I did what I did, and when you look at it, people will say, okay, he became a rock star. He made a band. He started like, all those kind of crazy
Yeah.
stuff that people are gonna think. But what you did, man, you make a company.
Yeah. It's quite unusual, especially here in Croatia.
Yeah,
People
and
don't
it's
do
even
these things.
crazier than
Mm.
when you look at like, okay, so he didn't go to high school. His parents and everybody hated that. He probably go to the band and like he has long hair, so he's probably the bass player there or a singer or whatnot. And he like, okay, so he had a idea for a company, but he didn't
No,
do.
actually, people usually describe me as a grunge band drummer. So they usually think I am a
Oh,
drummer. In
okay.
fact, once I was going to the national television here in Croatia, and when they are putting makeup on you, so this lady, she doesn't know like who the people are who are going to be interviewed on the television. She asks me, "Oh, so what instrument are you playing?" And I'm like, I'm not playing an instrument. Actually, I don't know how to play anything. I'm doing game consoles. Yeah, and our latest project is actually this. It's a DJ mix table. So yeah, this is just to show you how interesting what we're doing here is, and it probably drives me because I'm a person that I really like exploring new things. I really like experimenting with ideas, and it's really fulfilling to see your really crazy idea that nobody thinks is going to succeed. Just take off and do something on the market, and to see people leaving positive reviews, to see children assembling your devices and people sending photos. It's something that at the end of the day really means a lot to me. I still didn't. I still am not rich. I didn't get rich because of this. I would probably have more money if I was just going to freelance or just work in a normal, stable, big company or something like that in a corporation. But what I value is, I don't measure happiness in money. So, this is something that really drives me for now. And we're also starting to earn some money as well. So yeah, it's an interesting combination of things.
And to me, as a former DJ, it was really cool to see that in your subscription models, and I had to um, explain my wife why to all the gaming consoles from you and phone. Our 2.5 years old son needs the DJ console as well, because
Yeah, I think he's a bit too young, but yeah, it's really
he
awesome.
he kicks
To support.
stuff. He kicks stuff anyhow. So maybe we can get some beat, from that. So I like.
Yeah, but what we also get is a lot of parents like you, where dads they're explaining, like pitching it to their wives, like this game console, it's so awesome, it's going to be great for our kids, and then they buy the console, and then the dad, the father, he assembles the device and he plays with the device, and he's like, no, my turn now. So yeah, like a lot of adults liking our products as well. In fact, we have some kind of we have a research on that. Like 30% of our customers are in fact people that buy these devices for themselves, like adults that just want to mess around with the soldering iron, that want to explore something, or that are doing this as a hobby and they buy it for themselves. So quite a lot of people actually like our toys.
Well, I cannot give the soldering device and wire and everything to my 2.5 years old son.
Yeah,
That's
sure,
hazard, man. I need to solder
yeah,
that, and if I need to
sure.
spend next 2 days on that, sorry, I love you, but I need to do this for our son.
Yeah, that's true.
On this journey of yours, which is quite interesting, and it's not a rock star connected except that DJ console, you had a help, I believe, from mentors.
Mm.
Would you say that you just like leaped as a frog from the pond, or there were those mentors who were guiding you a little bit more like a snake where to go? I'm using these terms because of those little console games, because snake.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
You're quite a funny guy. Yeah, you're quite a
Thank you.
funny guy, man.
I always wanted to have my stand up, but I have podcast. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, there was quite a lot of people that actually guided me on my way to success, if this is what you call it. I mean, I wouldn't call this a success. I would call it a moderate success, but I'm still trying to figure things out. But yeah, I guess I have succeeded in some things. But yeah, no, I didn't leap as a frog. I was more like the snake that you said. I had to navigate quite a lot of things and figure quite a lot of I had to figure out quite a lot of things. And when you look at my story, like I'm a guy that decided to start a business with 18 years of age, you would probably say, oh, so he was really, really, sure about what he was doing. He didn't have a tiny, grain of self-doubt doubt in that. Like he was 100% sure that he's going to make it, but it wasn't like that. I was quite, unsecure about whether I should do this, whether this product is going to make it on the market, and whether this is something that's going to be, worth working for. And even before that, I had quite a lot of mentors that were actually, they didn't really teach me everything. I would say that I learned the most about the business, about electronics, about the way how to design these devices on my own. But they showed me the direction. They pointed me like some kind of like some kind of a Shaolin guru or something like that. So yeah, there was quite a lot of people that helped me. I had a mentor when I was in primary school that was helping me, do electronics and was taking me to competitions. In the secondary school, I had a few mentors, in fact, that were helping me. And the biggest mentor and role model of them all, so the boss mentor is Tomislav Car. So he is the CEO of Infinum, and a friend of mine that I actually met when I was in high school, still doing. I was going to various robotics competitions across Europe, and we needed some kind of a donation, some funding to go to a competition in Portugal. So we were sending, me and my friend were sending emails to IT companies in Croatia, and Infinum, his company, so Tomislav's company, was actually one of, actually they were the only company that replied to our email. They bought us plane tickets so we can get out there, and that's how I met him, and that's why we started talking. And several years later, we decided to try and push this game console to the market, and it actually worked. So, and he was a big deal, help and everything, because I knew how to do electronics. I knew how to code these devices, but what I didn't know at all was business. I didn't know anything about doing business. I was just trying to figure out things on the way. But thankfully, he started his business when he was really young, like in his first year of college, and that helped me, not make some rookie mistakes at the beginning. So yeah. And emotionally, he was a really big, and he still is a really big role model of mine, because unlike Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and those other idols that people usually have, he is somewhere, he's someone who is here. He is more relatable to me. A couple of years ago, he was just an ordinary kid just like me, trying to build something out of nothing. And I can relate to him, because Steve Jobs, he's a virtual man to me. Like, I didn't know him, and he's not here. He's somewhere out there. Actually, he is dead now, and I really can't relate to him.
And this is interesting because when you look at it, you had a role model which became your mentor, and that mentor is actually was working in an environment that's like more Infinum is more software based company, right? And you're more
Hmm.
like tangible company with a product
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now.
our business model is completely different. Like,
Yeah,
we sell hardware, we sell products to end consumers, and they sell services to other businesses.
yeah.
So yeah, Tomislav, he didn't actually know anything about what we were doing. He knew quite a lot of things about how to run a business and how to get, how to think like a businessman, how to see if what you're doing is okay, how to do some marketing, but he didn't know anything about hardware. So it was really interesting for both of us. It still is, doing a hardware startup is quite interesting. A lot of thrill
Yeah.
all the time,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because it's not something that everybody does, because it, it's really hard, because nobody's doing it. But it is, possible to have a successful hardware startup in 2021. Uh, it's just that are people are more willing to go into some kind of software-based venture, because of popular belief that it's much easier. But for me, there wasn't a moment of, I wasn't making my mind, because I really love hardware. I really like designing electronic devices, and that's actually what I did before I started this whole business. It's my passion. I really don't want to have a business only selling software, because I really like doing electronics, soldering chips, getting my fingers burned and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I can imagine with all the soldering and all that kind of a heat there. But what I wanted to say is it's incredible for me that people don't realize today that they can actually reach out, what you beautifully explained. And I want everybody who's listening right now to this episode, I want everybody to, that's why I've even started this Startup Rant and podcast, because people need to understand that even you are in a different kind of a space than your mentors or your boss mentor, as you said, is you can still send an email, you can still ask, and if somebody is willing to help, they will help. It doesn't, they will not just say, okay, this guy is just soldering something there, I'm not going to help them because I'm a software engineer, a developer or whatnot, and he's all the way on the other part of the chart. So but he actually reached out to you, he helped you, and that's really interesting. And right now what you're doing to kids all around the world, you're kind of a teacher right now. Do you see yourself as a
Yeah,
teacher?
I'm kind of a yeah, actually, I do. I see myself as a teacher, and actually, I was working as some kind of a teacher before I started CircuitMess, because before everything started, I was actually working with the, how should I translate it? The Croatian Technical Culture Association, which is basically some kind of an organization here in Croatia that
Yeah.
teaches kids about electronics, about engineering from a very young age. And I actually made my first steps in the world of electronics thanks to some courses that they had in my hometown. And probably if there wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here right now. So they gave us like They gave us equipment, they gave us mentors, and I met a lot of really awesome people thanks to that. And then I started working for them after I grew older, and I was actually doing workshops at first, and then I was designing kits for them. And I really, I really love working with kids. I was doing some kind of a summer camp every summer for a couple of years, where we were assembling and designing devices with children. And I really love that, because usually on those kinds of workshops, only you only get the kids that are interested in those kinds of topics. Like, you get a bunch of really open-minded young people that you can teach and show something. And in fact, a couple of kids back then are now working for me here, and I'm still in touch with people I met there and that I was teaching, and they are all making it in life. Like, they are in good colleges. I do consider myself a teacher, kind of. That's the whole point of our devices. We're trying to make not only the hardware and the PCBs and the circuit boards of these devices, we're also trying to make this whole educational experience. We write tutorials. We are thinking about the whole user experience. We are doing customer support as well, where we are trying to help people if they have some issues. And yeah, it's quite similar to teaching someone in person, just I'm not there. Because it will be I would need a bigger classroom if I would want to do this.
Yeah, and I saw a few videos of people assembling your stuff all around the world and posting that on YouTube or whatnot, and it's really interesting. But what I heard right now from you, and what I read before, and when we talked about, and what you right now said, you would need a bigger classroom to teach people. But you just mentioned several different stages in the company, or actually, let's say, departments in the company that you have to work with, from management, from marketing, from business, from producing. And you said you hired some people that you even know before, and you worked with. How? Because when everybody, we're going to post the links about your company, and when they go there, they will see that it's not just like a few guys there. There are gals and girls and boys and women and men working for you right now. And it's
Yeah.
really cool, because you have maybe even more employees. There's some companies that are even older than your company. How was that
Yeah,
process going? Even right now, you're right now in the room, in the actual space that's bigger than it was a year ago, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, that's correct. I mean, we are growing really fast. And yeah, at first it was like just me and my brother and sometimes my dad, and we were doing everything. Like, I was a one-man band doing everything. Like, I was even packing boxes for the first 6 months. I was doing fulfillment, shipping, answering customer emails, paying the bills. I even tried doing accounting, but I was miserable at that. I was doing like everything. Like, the first year, it was really hard, because I was doing everything. Like, usually when you have when you're making a product of this scale, you have whole departments of people doing various different things. And what I was doing, I was trying to do all of those things myself. So, I was doing everything. And currently, we have 25 people employed, and we grew really fast. So in like 3.5 years, we have grown from 0 to 25 people. And it's a process that's quite interesting, because you need to employ people like all the time. And quite a lot of people actually changed. So when I started working like the first couple of years, um, really a really small amount of people from the very beginning of the company are still working here now, because at the beginning I I didn't know how to hire. I wasn't doing any kind of a selection process for those people. And usually when you don't choose people wisely that come into your company, they either, find something else, or they turn out, that they are not the best fit for the company. So yeah, it's quite interesting, employing people all the time, because every now and then you need to take a chunk of your own work, of your own tasks and assignments, and you need to give them to someone else. And my job description is changing all the time, and it's quite scary. It's quite annoying sometimes, doing that all the time. But at the end of the day, it's quite fulfilling for me, because you can see everything growing. You can see a lot of things being done, and if I was doing everything myself, I just couldn't make all of these things. And the extra layer that comes when you employ the right people is that you start noticing that those people are actually doing things better than yourself. So currently, and that's the greatest feeling of them all, when you have someone in your company that knows how to design those circuit boards, or to do that accounting, or do those sales pitches better than yourself. So yeah, it's quite nice, but it's quite stressful as well, especially because in a short amount of time I had to learn a lot about management, about human resources, about actually doing some kind of employer branding and employee satisfaction, managing that as well, and managing finances. Huge growth comes with a lot of instability, because one day everything is looking good, and the other day it's always changing. We had a lot of periods where we had to invest a lot of money in something, and we didn't have enough money, so yeah, it's growing fast. It's an interesting venture. Yeah.
So does somebody from your team comes to you and say, no more soldering for you, boss? I saw you soldering, and man, you know.
No, it actually doesn't work like that. Actually, this comes from me. I say to myself, so no soldering for you anymore, Albert. You need to do emails from now on, and Google spreadsheets. And this other guy is going to solder because he can solder, and you need to do this because you cannot, pass this work to somebody else. So yeah.
And what I loved about this is how you from a guy who is was totally into that, that was your whole, you didn't mention, you didn't mean to grow a huge company out of it. You were just doing something that you're passionate about. Now your passion now involves Google Sheets.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's quite ironic, but what I figured out is that I really love creating things, and that doesn't mean that I need to solder every chip, every resistor, that I need to draw every PCB, and that I need to write every line of code. It actually means that I just enjoy making things, and if I want to make big things, I need to find a team of people that are going to work with me, and that are going to do things that I can't. So I'm really, I do not feel sad when I see other people soldering, because I am still heavily involved in the whole process of coming up with devices and strategies to launch them on the markets and selling them and everything. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
making things.
And
It's the best feeling of fall for me. Like at the end of the day, you like see something that you've made, you see it take off, and you can say to yourself like, I made this. So it's a good feeling.
And well, you are the maker, as your T-shirt for all those who are watching, they see. For all who are listening, they
Oh yeah,
hear. And
yeah,
you
I'm the
have,
maker. Yeah.
yeah, and you're hands-on on it. And you mentioned that, and we need to stress this out because it's interesting to stress this out. I like that word because it evokes so many feelings in short time. You mentioned that you were selling and you're already doing all kind of subscription models to whole world, from USA to Japan. I don't know. Is there a country that cannot buy stuff from you right now? Because it's interesting
Yeah,
because
I would
every
say
country
I would
can
say it's
learn.
North Korea. It's North
Okay.
Korea,
Yeah.
but to the rest of the world, we sell using our web shop.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically people from all over the world can buy them, and yeah, we have lots of customers from our devices went to a lot of countries. What we so geographical regions where we sell the most is mostly Western Europe, North America, Australia, Japan, and Singapore. So this is where we sell most of our things, but we would like to expand on that as well. We are selling mostly over there because of is Kickstarter and services like those are most popular over there, and we just didn't manage to focus on localizations in anywhere else, translating our ads to different languages. Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
work
Yeah.
that we need to do and a lot of things that we need to try out to spread our influence. But sorry, your question was
No, my
uh,
question was
uh,
like more like you are so all over the world right now. Is there a country that cannot order, but you already in a way answered that?
no, everybody can
Yeah.
order, but this is not the sales pitch. Like I'm not trying to sell
No,
anything,
no,
but
no,
yeah,
no.
everybody can order. I mean,
But
we are, we're still small. Like
yeah.
those amounts of devices that we sell, like we sold, I think, over
Okay.
16,000 devices so far. But it's a huge amount of devices for a startup that's trying to figure everything out from that and make everything from scratch and build the devices and produce them themselves. But it's nothing compared to what big players sell. So we have
Yeah, but
still
you're
got a lot of work to do.
yeah. But when you look at it, it's during this pandemic and everything. Was that something that was affecting you more or less? When you look at it, there was many people, uh, in house trying to find
hmm
something to do,
hmm
and your Kickstarter was at that time, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
that's something
Yeah, so
kind of
last year it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting because before the pandemic hit, we were getting most of our revenue from distributors. So basically, stores and various web shops from all around the world that were buying our devices and selling them in their shops. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of them had to close, and a lot of them were basically every one of them were in some kind of a panic mode. So they just stopped ordering everything, and they said, okay, so we are going to sell what we have. We do not want to order anything more because we're really afraid of everything. Also, they stopped paying bills, so we had a lot of unpaid bills and everything. Like, they had the money, they were just in a panic mode, and they didn't want to, just pay the bills because they didn't know if the world is going to end or what. So what
yeah.
we had to do
They
back
wanted
then
more
is,
toilet paper than CircuitMess stuff.
yeah, sure, yeah, that as well. So what we did was we actually switched to uh, we looked at it and we said, okay, so now we need to figure out how to do online marketing because our web shop was still going strong. People were actually starting to visit our web shop more organically because more people were online, they were bored, they were Googling stuff, and the online shopping, the e-commerce, it was just starting to grow even more, as we all know. So we naturally switched to doing online ads in social media and selling stuff via performance marketing because it was the natural move to do. So yeah, we had to learn quite a lot of new things in 2020. The other problems that we had and that we are still having is the pandemic. It just the whole supply chain of basically everything related to hardware, especially semiconductors that everybody is talking about. They, everything went out of balance. So we were in situations where we couldn't get some kind of a plastic keycap for our phone, and we were trying to find this keycap like in March last year when the pandemic hit. And what happened was actually this company producing this plastic part, it just went out of business. So we had to like make a copy of this part and manufacture it ourselves or something like that. Yeah. So basically we had a lot of situations like this one where, just out of nothing, something goes out of business and you just cannot find this part anymore. Actually, it's quite severe. It's so severe that we are currently making a hardware revision of our phone kit because the network module that was being used inside, it isn't available anymore. Like the company just cannot deliver it. You cannot find the chip, and it's so severe that we just decided to redesign the phone and go with another chip. We had to invest like a lot of time and energy and money in it, but the market for producing hardware products, it's quite crazy, So, and there's no easy way out of it. What we had to do was just order more stock, which means we had to like freeze more money in our stock supplies because chips that we would usually get in like a week now had to be produced for 3 months or so. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I can bet it was, because when you look at it, when people talk about startups, immediately some kind of ideas pop up, like, oh, there is a Twitter, Facebook, whatnot, WhatsApp. Those are the big huge startups, and Uber or whatnot. But there are actually so many companies that are startups in this space that you are inhabiting as well, with the hardware. And when you say stuff like this, that you need to redesign something because it's not your fault, it's not fault of anybody, but because some other company, because you are ordering one part that is needed in your design, that company doesn't exist anymore. You don't have solution that's like, oh well, I'm just gonna change a little line of code and that's it. You need to
that's true.
You need to sit down and
spend... like it's quite complex. I mean, and we are a really small hardware manufacturer compared to big companies. Like we need, I don't know, like 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 pieces of some kind of a chip, and chips, they aren't produced in batches of 10,000. They're usually produced in batches of like 100,000 pieces. So yeah, it's quite strange when this kind of things happens because it basically fucks up a lot of companies. Pardon my language.
I don't know. It's a proper description of situations.
Yeah, I mean, the podcast is called Startup Rant, so I guess
you're ranting, I'm
the
ranting all
semiconductor shortage as well. So, when next time when you see people complaining that they cannot get a PS5 because of the semiconductor shortage or the new graphic card, just remember, it could be worse. You could be having a PCB that needs redesigning because you cannot find a fucking chip online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always
Mm.
like, there's these huge companies, they're under pressure because they cannot order whatnot. And then you need to think about companies like yourself, because there are small companies that are
Yeah.
making a living of it, and they cannot order the same stuff. You know,
Yeah, that's
it,
that's that's right. Yeah.
it's like, man, my whole company, for, I don't know,
Yeah.
PlayStation, like Sony, come on, man, that's like 1/5 of their whole, like, they gonna,
Revenue. Yeah.
yeah, they will not go dead in 3 months, but the companies like yourself will have issues or even go bust if there is something a problem. And it's not just a problem, it can be even problem with delivery. Did you have problem with the delivery?
Mm.
Because right now, if somebody orders something in the United States of America and they get that from the Croatia and it's done by I don't know what, they need to go to I don't know what, because I'm not in that space and place.
So
Is there a
so
problem,
so about the
with pandemic?
So about deliveries, about the shipping ecosystem. So basically, when the pandemic hit, the whole international postage union, it went crazy because most of the regular packages that you send using your national post are uh, transferred through this network of international, you know, postages like
Yeah.
and basically they use commercial planes for transferring the goods. And when the pandemic hit, commercial flights, you know, there were no commercial flights. Actually, they were quite reduced, and it just wasn't working. For example, you couldn't ship packages from Australia to much of Europe. You couldn't ship packages between United States and Europe for quite a lot of time. Here from Croatia, you couldn't. They like at one point the Croatian Post, it was shipping to something like 20 countries in the world, and it's not the Croatian Post to blame. It's to blame the whole international, union of posts that just fell apart. So what we did, we switched to private shipping companies like DHL and DPD, and we started working with them. They gave us almost the same price as the regular posts, and they are providing a so much better service. It's just uncomparable. So companies like DHL and DPD, and all of those private shipping companies, they did a really good job in the pandemic because they were much more prepared compared to national posts, which just said we can't do it, we can't ship it, we're just going to have a delay. And those other companies, they didn't have a single delay throughout the whole 2020 and 2021 whatsoever. Like they were working better than before. So no
Mm.
problems on that. And it's just we had to change our strategy a bit.
Cool. I'm glad that there was like solution for that, because when you look at it, you're a hardware produce producing company that needs to deliver a product that's actually physical product.
Mm-hmm.
So in all this kind of crap that happened in the world and everything that you went through and all your experiences, your company still is growing. You're doing what you're doing, but there are lots of people right now who are maybe thinking about starting a business or already started a business. So to wrap this stuff like in a big kind of a package full with the goodies from your subscription model, but have a little kind of a bow tie and a little message, what that message would be for the entrepreneurs or would be entrepreneurs in the world would be that like, don't do it, it's hard. Or it would be, just do it, man, everything is fine. Or there is kind of a message that you want to say,
Everything is not fine, but that is not why you should or shouldn't start a business. Like I would use this analogy. So back last year, we had this huge Kickstarter campaign that we were preparing for the CircuitMess sandbox. And when the pandemic hit and everything, like I was thinking about not launching it at all and just postponing it for the year after. And I had a lot of people that actually said, like, don't do it, man. Like, it's not going to work. So what happened at the end? We raised over $400,000 in this Kickstarter campaign during the pandemic and everything. Like, people, they are still buying stuff. They are still living. They didn't close in bunkers, and just they didn't cut themselves off of the rest of the world. So in situations like this, usually a lot of great businesses arise. You probably already read all of those articles that say like, oh, Airbnb and stuff like that started in the last crisis. So no, I think like if you have an idea, if you have the drive, you should probably try doing something and starting something yourself. Even if it doesn't go well at the end, you will learn quite a lot of things. My startup, it might look stable from the outside, but it's a struggle all the time. Like it's growing really fast, and a lot of good things are happening to us, but it's quite uncertain. If this is going to, like, we could go out of business in like 3 or 6 months if something goes bad. Like, so and if this happens, I, of course, I would be really sad, but I wouldn't do it. I would still do it despite all of this, because I just learned so much in this whole process of being an entrepreneur and building something myself. So to sum this up, my advice would probably be like, don't be discouraged by the pandemic and by everything happening in the world, because there is still quite a lot of things that you can do, and the market is out there. People have the money, they are living, they are earning, they are spending money. It's just the way we spend our money and the way we spend our time is what changed quite a bit in the pandemic. Yeah.
Awesome. I like this message because it's positive. It's inspiring. It's kind of a real, actually.
Yeah, I mean, what can I do? Like,
yeah,
we're not going to kill ourselves. Like, we need to continue working. Like,
exactly. Albert, thank you for this call. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much.
Visiting this StartUpNATION space and place and trying to explain people that hardware is not just something out there, that actually it's interesting to double in. If you want to do a business with it, you can actually succeed. I think you said moderate succeed. But
yeah,
it's
you
not,
can succeed moderately.
Yeah, but it's not something like you just like, oh, we startup is something like software or whatnot. It's actually, there are people and young people like yourself that doing crazy things, but good things, and you're actually teaching other people how to do stuff. And who knows what might come from some guy from Australia playing with your game console or DJ console, or you even have an AI little console, something like that. I think in the subscription model, something like that. I don't know. There are several of them.
Comes out of that.
Yeah, we will post all that so people can see that there are several things to play. Thank you for being guest on StartUpNATION, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. See you. Bye.